Max Verstappen, the reigning Formula One world champion, is preparing for potentially unfavorable news as Honda nears the conclusion of its inspection of his engine from the Canadian Grand Prix. The early signs suggest that Verstappen might lose one of his vital power units. During the Canadian Grand Prix, Verstappen's nearly new engine was removed from his car and sent to Honda's headquarters in Sakura, Japan, for a thorough inspection. If the engine is declared unusable, Verstappen will need to add an extra power unit to his pool sooner than anticipated. This addition would trigger an automatic 10-place grid penalty, given that he has already exhausted his fourth and final internal combustion engine of the season during the Spanish Grand Prix. Such a penalty could significantly impact Verstappen's race results, especially considering his tight competition with McLaren for victories. The situation arose in Montreal when Verstappen had to retire early from the second practice session due to a suspected problem with his energy recovery system, ERS. Although the issues seemed electrical, there were concerns about potential damage to the entire power unit, particularly the internal combustion engine. The engine in question was a new installation, Verstappen's third of the season, introduced just that morning. Honda promptly removed it for inspection and sent it to Japan to determine if it could be salvaged or was beyond repair. If the engine is deemed irreparable, Verstappen would lose a quarter of his annual engine allocation, a scenario he was worried about during the Canadian Grand Prix. It's crucial to understand what happened and what implications it has for this weekend and the rest of the year, Verstappen stated. More than 2 weeks have passed since the engine arrived in Japan, and the lack of positive updates suggests that the internal combustion engine might not be salvageable. If no issues had been detected early on, the engine would likely have been cleared and returned to Red Bull by now. Due to the ongoing inspections, Red Bull introduced its fourth power unit during the Spanish Grand Prix to ensure they had enough components for upcoming races and practice sessions. Christian Horner, Red Bull's team principal, confirmed this strategy, noting that the Canadian engine was sent back to Japan for inspection. If the engine is confirmed unusable, Verstappen will need a fifth power unit soon, resulting in a 10-place grid drop. Horner himself has indicated that this scenario seems inevitable. We'll have to see how it plays out over the coming races, but I think it's inevitable that we'll take the next engine at some point, Horner said. Red Bull has a history of strategically taking grid penalties at races where overtaking is easier, such as the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps, which occurs before the summer break. Verstappen has previously taken grid penalties at Spa, winning from P6 last year and from P14 in 2022. However, with Red Bull's current performance not as dominant as in previous seasons, making such comebacks might be more challenging. A grid drop for Verstappen would be advantageous for McLaren and Lando Norris, who have consistently challenged Red Bull this season. If Verstappen incurs a penalty, McLaren could capitalize on the opportunity to gain a significant points advantage.